A 14-year-old boy named Jake notices a Good Guy doll, which is a brand name. He asks the vendor for the price, and she replies that it's $20 since it's a vintage item. However, Jake manages to negotiate and buys it for $10. As Jake leaves with the doll, the vendor notices that a knife is missing from her stall. Jake starts listening to a crime podcast hosted by his classmate Devin, who is the son of Hackensack Police Detective Kim Evans. The podcast mentions that people have always believed saints watch over Hackensack, yet crime continues to rise. The last time the murder rate was this high was in 1965, when serial killer Charles Lee Ray was on the loose. Jake takes the doll home and places it on the table. His cat, however, seems frightened by it. As Jake is about to remove the doll's head to use for his sculpture, his father Lucas walks in. Jake asks for his opinion on the sculpture, but Lucas dismisses it, saying he's not an art critic. He tells Jake to stop wasting time on art, make friends and find a girlfriend, because sculptures won't earn him any money. Lucas also informs Jake that he couldn't afford to send him to the art camp because it cost $1,000. He further tells him that he is becoming just like his mother, but unlike him, she didn't try to make a living from it. He even says that Jake is starting to look like her. He then tells Jake to get ready because his cousin is coming over for dinner that evening. Jake's cousin Junior arrives with his parents, Logan and Bree. Logan proudly talks about how Junior qualified for a regional running competition and how he needs 3 extracurricular activities to get into Harvard. Jake and Junior get into an argument when Junior mentions organizing a book drive for homeless people. Jake responds by saying that books aren't what homeless people truly need. Bree tries to change the subject by asking Jake about his sculptures. Jake says he's working on them, but Junior mocks him again, calling him gay. When he quotes Andy Warhol, Lucas yells at them to stop, saying that Jake just doesn't know what he's doing. After everyone leaves, Lucas angrily smashes Jake's sculptures while Jake begs him to stop. The next morning, Jake finds his cat dead. The doll is still there, so he searches online to sell it. To his surprise, he finds someone selling the same doll for $1,500. He decides to take the doll Chucky with him to school. On the bus, some students bully Jake. He sits next to Devin, who is reading a crime magazine. When Jake arrives at school, someone asks him to introduce them to his cousin Junior. Junior soon arrives with his girlfriend Lexi. Lexi compliments Chucky, but when Jake tells her he's planning to sell it, she mocks him, saying his financial situation must be so bad that he has to sell his belongings. She even offers to help by donating money. In class, their teacher MF assigns them the task of dissecting a frog. Jake is visibly scared and panicked, but encourages him. He tries to calm himself down, but when he looks at the frog again, he is horrified to see it brutally dissected. MF comes over to check and is surprised, telling him that he didn't need to do it that way. Suddenly, the entire class bursts into laughter as they check their phones. Lexi has created a GoFundMe page to humiliate Jake. After class, Jake asks Miss F if she can keep Chucky in her locker since his is too small. She agrees and then stops Lexi to talk to her. She warns Lexi to stop bullying Jake, mentioning the fundraiser she made to mock him. Lexi pretends she didn't do anything wrong and insists that she was only trying to help Jake. She also boasts about being the mayor's daughter. Miss F leaves to call the principal, Miss McVeigh. As soon as she leaves, Lexi suddenly feels something strange. When she turns around, Chucky is standing there. She gets scared when Miss McVeigh arrives with Miss F. Lexi quickly agrees to delete the page and leaves in fear. MF then puts Chucky in her locker and leaves. Later, Jake is listening to Devin's podcast when Dion arrives and asks what he's watching. Jake lies, saying he's watching The Vampire Diaries. Devin responds that Jake doesn't seem like the type and encourages him to stand up to his bullies. He also admits that he knows Jake was actually watching his podcast and invites him to the school talent show happening the next day. At home, Jake receives a message from someone interested in buying Chucky. However, as soon as he shares his number, a person named Andy warns him to stay away from the doll and to check if it has batteries inside. Jake goes to talk to Lucas, who hands him Chucky. Jake is surprised and asks how he found it, explaining that he's trying to sell the doll. Jake goes to his room and researches the doll's history. He learns about Charles Lee Ray, the serial killer, and the pattern of murders linked to kids who own Chucky. He checks inside the doll and there are no batteries, which means that it was speaking without batteries. He throws the doll in the trash. At the talent show, Devin finishes playing the piano and Lexi takes over as the host. She praises Devin, but then starts mocking Jake, saying she should tell Devin's parents what's really going on between them. Suddenly, Chucky speaks, telling Lexi to pick on someone her own size. The entire audience is shocked. Jake rushes to the stage and Chucky holds up Lexi's phone, revealing that she has not only several pictures of Junior but also of Oliver. He laughs, saying that was supposed to be a secret. Then turning to Bree in the crowd, he says, "We all have secrets, don't we?" Chucky then starts reading Lexi's search history, exposing her looking up Botox and other strange topics. Both of them are quickly taken off the stage. When Jake gets home, Lucas confronts him, angry that he embarrassed him at the talent show. Lucas tells Jake to stop acting weird, but Jake fires back saying that Lucas doesn't hate him for being weird, he hates him because he thinks he's gay. Lucas punches Jake and warns him never to talk like that again before ordering him to go to his room. Suddenly the power goes out as Lucas tries to fix the electricity. Chucky appears and spills a large amount of water near his feet. This triggers an electric shock, and Lucas dies from electrocution. Detective Kim, Devon's mother, arrives and consoles Jake. She informs him that there was a break-in at school last night, and the only thing stolen was his dog Chucky. Jake, surprised, tells her that he took Chucky himself because he needed it for the talent show. Logan arrives soon after and comforts Jake. He tells him that from now on he will live with them and should feel free to ask if he needs anything. Detective Kim rules the case for now as death by misadventure. Bree shows Jake to his new room and then questions him about what he meant when he said she had a secret. Jake quickly responds that he was just joking. As soon as Bree leaves, Jake tries talking to Chucky and then throws him in frustration, but suddenly Chucky sits up and starts speaking. Terrified, Jake asks if he is really Charles Lee Ray and if he killed his father. Chucky casually replies that Lucas deserved to die. Jake insists that his father wasn't always like that, but Chucky shrugs it off, saying Lucas had it coming. Then with a sinister smile he adds that now it's Lexi's turn. A young Charles Lee Ray is shown hiding a blade inside an apple on purpose. He then takes a bite, enjoying the sight of his own mouth bleeding. Meanwhile, Jake is in the car with Junior, who tries to bully him. However, Junior's parents step in and stop him. When they arrive at school, Jake becomes the center of gossip. Oliver approaches him, expresses his condolences for Jake's father's death, and invites him to a Halloween party at his house. Junior and Lexi notice Oliver being kind to Jake and find it's suspicious. Lexi, still upset with Jake for making fun of her, reacts angrily at home. Junior's house. Annie is cleaning. She finds a knife in Jake's room and takes it back to the kitchen. As she places it among the other knives, Chucky suddenly pushes her from behind. She falls onto the knives, which pierce straight through her neck. Later, Jake and Jenna return from school. Jake asks Junior if he wants something to eat, but Junior rudely replies that he doesn't need to ask for things in his own house. Jake is the first to notice Annie's lifeless body, and then Junior sees her too. They immediately call their parents as well as detectives Kim and Sean. After analyzing the scene, Logan and Bree explain that Annie had been with their family for a long time and was like a member of the household. Detective Kim asks about Jake and Junior's relationship with her, and they explain that Annie raised Junior since childhood. She also had no issues with Jake and welcomed him warmly. After examining the situation, detectives Kim and Sean conclude that Annie accidentally slipped and fell onto the knife rack. They even mention a similar case, saying such incidents happen more often than people think. Later, Jake goes to his room and confronts Chucky, asking why he killed Annie. Chucky denies killing Annie, insisting that she slipped on her own. When Jake tries to push him, Chucky refuses to take the blame, saying that he could have killed someone in the past week, but didn't because he's trying to help Jake. He adds that some people deserve to die and claims he only kills those who do. Meanwhile, Junior overhears Bree telling Logan downstairs that Jake might be dangerous. She mentions that he didn't have a healthy upbringing, and after Mary's death Lucas became unstable, so no one really knows what's going on inside Jake's head. Logan responds saying that you never truly know what someone is thinking. Later, Junior enters Jake's room and sees his laptop open, displaying pictures of Lexi. He warns Jake to stay away from her. After Junior leaves, Jake confronts Chucky, asking why he did that, but Chucky punches him in the eye. Detective Kim questions Devon about Jake, as asking what kind of kid he is. Devon, however, defends Jake. Meanwhile, Lexi's younger sister Caroline is drawing a picture of Chucky when their parents come downstairs and praise her work. They are heading to a ballroom event and tell Lexi to take Caroline trick-treating. When Lexi protests, they admonish her and leave at Oliver's Halloween party. Junior arrives wearing his medals. A little later, Jake comes downstairs with a visible bruise around his eye. Logan and Bree assume it's just part of his Halloween costume. They ask Jake if he's going to the party, but he refuses, saying he needs some time alone. Jake realizes that Chucky is missing and, fearing he might kill someone, rushes to Oliver's party to find him. Meanwhile, Lexi and Junior are getting intimate. Chucky is playing a video game with Caroline when he casually tells her that he plans to kill her sister. He then gets up and sneaks into LeShin Jr.'s bedroom, hiding under the bed. As Lexi and Junior lie down, Chucky prepares to stab Lexi from beneath. However, before he can strike, someone opens the door, and they both leave the room to rejoin the party. When Jake arrives at the party, some people lock him and Devon in a room as part of a game. Later, when Jake comes out, He is shocked to see Lexi dressed as his father, mimicking his electrocution. It turns out this was her surprise Halloween costume. Deeply hurt, Jake bursts into tears, demanding to know why she is doing this to him. He vows not to let her get away with it. This time Devon tries to comfort him. Jake goes back inside to find Chucky. Just before Chucky is about to kill Lexi, Jake intervenes and takes him home. Back at home, Chucky apologizes for punching Jake in the eye. He then tells Jake that the world is like the Super Bowl of kill or be killed. He insists that everyone has to choose a side and that anyone can be a killer. He tries to manipulate Jake into murdering Lexi, reminding him how she humiliated his father. Chucky begins teaching Jake how to kill, asking whether he prefers strangulation or stabbing. Jake hesitates and questions what if he is not a killer. Chucky smirks and insists that everyone is a killer if pushed far enough. Curious, Jake asks Chucky how he became a killer. Chucky recalls a childhood memory from his birthday and explains how to choose a target, someone who annoys them or makes their life difficult. Meanwhile, Detective Kim visits Mrs. F to ask questions about Jake, but she refuses to cooperate, stating that she cannot disclose any information about him. After class, as Jake is leaving, Mrs. F stops him. She tells him that if he ever needs anything or just wants to talk, he can always come to her. She also mentions that she has seen the video of Lexi bullying him and is arranging a parent-teacher meeting. Since Jake is in a hurry, he simply agrees, thanks her, and leaves. Following Chucky's advice, Jake begins stalking Lexi, studying her to find the right opportunity to kill her. One day, as she's out for a walk, he follows her with a knife. Just as he is about to strike, the person turns around, and to Jake's shock, it's actually Junior, wearing the same hoodie as Lexi. Junior calls Jake a weirdo and walks away, while Jake quickly hides the knife behind his back. Later, Junior confronts Lexi about what she did at the party, telling her that mocking his uncle like that was not okay. He insists that she should apologize to Jake. After some back and forth, Lexi finally agrees. When Lexi arrives home, she finds her little sister Caroline crying and protesting because she wants Chucky. Lexi then heads to Jake's house, where she finds him in the garage testing different sharp tools. Lexi assumes Jake is testing sharp tools for his sculptures and dismisses it as Jake stands behind her, contemplating whether to kill her. She unexpectedly apologizes. She admits that she sometimes takes things too far and shouldn't have mocked him. After apologizing, she asks Jake for a favor. She wants Chucky. Jake immediately refuses, which angers Lexi. Frustrated, she calls him a waste and storms off. Later, Jake tells Chucky about the encounter. Chucky scolds him for failing to kill Lexi and suggests that since she already wants the doll, Jake should just hand her over so Chucky can take care of the job himself. Following Chucky's advice, Jake goes to Lexi and gives her the doll. Lexi thanks him but quickly clarifies that this doesn't mean they are friends. She then gives Chucky to Caroline, who is overjoyed. Their parents Michelle and Nathan are also present and join Caroline in playing with the doll. Meanwhile, Mrs. F calls Logan Bree Mayor Michelle and her husband Nathan for a meeting. She emphasizes that safety is a top priority at Perry Middle School. Michelle interrupts, proudly stating that they care deeply about safety, which is why they have donated to the school security. Mrs. F then shows them a video of Lexi bullying Jake at the Halloween party. Logan becomes furious, demanding to know how they could allow Lexi to mock his brother Lucas. Principal McVeigh, who is also present, urges them to resolve the issue that evening. While her parents are away, Lexi hosts a party at home. She invites Oliver Jr., Devon, and a few others. After putting Caroline to bed, Jr. becomes irritated by how friendly Oliver and Lexi are with each other, especially when Oliver brings her liquor. Meanwhile, Chucky gets out of bed, glances at the sleeping Caroline, and whispers that he is going to kill her sister. Caroline wakes up and comes downstairs looking for Chucky. She asks Lexi about him, but Lexi tells her to go back to bed. While she searches for the doll, a flashback from Charles Lee Ray's childhood is shown. A killer breaks into his house and murders his father, who yells for him to run. Charles's mother takes him and hides in a closet. The killer searches the house and eventually finds the closet. However, when he opens the door, he sees that Charles has already killed his own mother, proudly stating that he helped. The killer admires Charles for having the guts to do it. Back in the present, Chucky mistakes Oliver for Lexi and stabs him. Realizing his mistake, he continues to stab Oliver repeatedly, enjoying the process until Oliver dies. After killing Oliver, Chucky goes after Lexi, who is still searching for him. As he attempts to attack her, the house catches fire, leading to a massive explosion. Lexi sees Chucky and is terrified, breaking down in tears. Chucky tries to strangle her, But she manages to escape his grip. Moments later their parents arrive and rush the injured children to the hospital. Meanwhile Jake visits his mother's grave, apologizing for not becoming the person she had hoped he would be. At the hospital Jake visits Lexi. She immediately confronts him, asking if he knew about Chucky all along and whether he was responsible for the maid's death. Jake silently nods. Shocked Lexi demands to know why he would give her the all if he knew the truth. Jake answers honestly, he wanted her to die because she had been cruel to him. Lexi is horrified by his confession and accuses him of being heartless and no better than a killer. Jake apologizes. Meanwhile Detective Kim questions Devin about Jake, asking if he could be involved in what happened and inquiring about his doll. Devin, annoyed by his mother's accusations, defends Jake, insisting that he wasn't even at the party and would never hurt anyone. Kim then reveals that it wasn't just the fire. Oliver had been brutally stabbed multiple times. Devin immediately informs Jake, suggesting that there must have been an intruder at the party. Elsewhere Lexi worries about her sister, but her parents blame her for everything, accusing her of not caring about Caroline's safety. As Lexi tries to explain something about Jake, they cut her off, saying she has already bullied him enough. Still angry at Jake, Lexi later confronts him about Chucky. Jake tells her that they have to handle it themselves because no one else will believe them. Determined, they decide to return to the house to check if Chucky is still alive. As they search, Jake tries to be kind to Liz, showing concern for her well-being. However, Lexi pushes him away, saying she doesn't need his kindness, especially from someone who once wanted her dead. Meanwhile, Devin becomes intrigued by Chucky and starts researching him online. He discovers urban legends about the killer doll, its connection to Charles Lee Ray, and how Chucky has left a trail of violence and murder wherever he has been. At the same time, Logan reassures Junior that the accident won't set him back in his athletic career, calling it just a minor setback. Back at the house, as Jake and Lexi continue searching, Chucky suddenly appears and shoves Lexi off the first floor just in time. Jake manages to grab her hand, preventing her from falling. As Lexi dangles from the ledge, Chucky urges Jake to let go, reminding him of how she bullied him, and insisting that this is his chance to finally get rid of her. Chucky then climbs down and tries to pull Lexi down himself. However, Jake refuses to listen. He firmly tells Chucky that he is not a killer and struggles to pull Lexi back up. Chucky continues trying to drag her down, but before he can succeed, Detective Sean arrives. He picks up Chucky, stating that Caroline has been asking for him. Jake and Lexi try to stop Sean, warning him about the doll, but he ignores them. After thanking Jake for saving her, Lexi follows Sean, determined to keep an eye on Chucky. Meanwhile, Jake is taken in for questioning by Detective Kim. Sean takes Chucky to the hospital, but stops for a drink before heading to Caroline's room. Once there, he places the doll beside Caroline and begins eating some biscuits. Suddenly, Chucky stabs him in the back. As Sean collapses, Chucky repeatedly attacks him with syringes, stab him over and over again. Meanwhile, Devin finds Lexi and shares everything he has discovered about Charles Lee Ray. He explains that Ray was known as the Lakeshore Strangler, and that after his parents' deaths he was sent to a foster home before eventually transferring his soul into a good guy doll. Lexi responds that she and Jake already know this, and that Chucky has already started killing people. A flashback from Charles Lee Ray's childhood, about to reveal the truth about Chucky, when suddenly an emergency alarm blares through the hospital. The nurses rush to check on Caroline, only to discover Detective Sean's mutilated body in her room. A flashback shows young Charles Lee Ray observing. Caroline wakes up and asks Nathan for Chucky. Nathan hesitates, telling her that the doll looks awful after being burned in the fire. However, Caroline insists, so he retrieves Chucky for her. The moment she sees its damaged, charred face, she becomes frightened. Nathan disposes of the doll in the trash. Lexi arrives and asks about the doll. Nathan informs her that he threw it away. Lexi immediately tells Jake and Devin they assume that Chucky might have been buried under the collected trash, possibly killing him. Despite Lexi finding it disgusting, they search through the disposal site, but fail to find the doll. The next day, Mrs. F advises them that if they ever feel overwhelmed or need to talk, they can confide in her. Later, Jake, Lexi, and Devin discuss Chucky's possible whereabouts. They conclude that he likely hasn't left Hackensack, as it's his hometown. To track him down, they need to figure out who his next target might be. They consider telling Junior, but Lexi dismisses the idea, saying he wouldn't believe them because he lacks imagination. Junior notices them whispering and tries to join the conversation by casually asking if they have visited the new theme park. They all reply that they haven't. Before he can ask further, Mrs. F returns and They all take their seats. Meanwhile, Nathan brings Caroline a brand new doll named Tommy. Caroline begins playing with it. Lexi, suspicious, picks up the doll and tries to make it talk, but it remains silent. Seeing nothing unusual, she returns it to Caroline and leaves. Chucky watches Caroline playing with a new doll. He sneaks into the room and performs a ritual, transferring his soul into Tommy. A short while later, Nathan enters the room and notices the burnt Chucky doll still lying nearby. Without giving it much thought, he picks it up and throws it into the trash can. Later, Lexi, Devin, and Jake retrieve the burnt Chucky doll from the trash can and destroy it by repeatedly stomping on it until it's completely shattered. Believing they have finally gotten rid of him, they cheer and celebrate, convinced that Chucky is gone for good. Meanwhile, Mayor Michelle holds a press conference to reassure the public. As the event begins, Junior joins Lexi, Devin, and Jake and asks what they are discussing. Lexi blurts out the whole truth in one breath, that a killer doll has been murdering people, and that they are trying to stop it. Junior accuses her of making up ridiculous stories and tells her that if she doesn't want to be honest, she shouldn't bother talking at all. At the conference, Mayor Michelle assures the public that Hackensack remains one of the safest cities in the world, and that the recent murders were isolated incidents that won't happen again. However, just as she finishes speaking, Detective Kim steps forward to give a briefing when suddenly a decapitated head rolls onto the stage, shocking the audience. As the curtains pull back, the rest of the mutilated body is revealed. It is Principal McVeigh of Perry Middle School. Jake, Lexi, and Devin, who are sitting in the crowd, are horrified. They immediately realize that Chucky is still alive.